Now, look, imagine you being Abram, right? Imagine you being Abram at this time, and you woke up to see this. If there was ever, tell me, put a seven in the chat if that would be more than enough of a sign for you.
Yeah, blessings on blessings, yeah, yeah.
And welcome to everybody that's new. Welcome to the Goshen Group 6-Day Study. I'm Pakar Yahu, one of the leaders and or teachers of this amazing flock out here. I welcome you. We love to see new faces and new people. We love to try to introduce and help and guide people through Torah, help them get a better understanding so that we can all grow together and so we can achieve and eat from that tree of life so we can fulfill that promise of going back to the land of milk and honey. You know what I'm saying? As the song said. Today we will be going over Genesis 15, the famous promise chapter, if I call it, or the famous 400-year prophecy chapter that is well known. So it says, after these things, the word of Yahuwah came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, "Fear not, Abram. I am thy shield, thy exceeding great reward," right? Thy exceeding and great reward. I love the way that this starts out. I really like this portion, this part here, mainly because, Abiyah encourages us to not fear, but he says here, he says, "I am thy shield and thy exceedingly great reward." And one of the things that come to mind when I think about this is Numbers 18:20. Numbers 18:20. And in Numbers 18:20 it says, "Yah spake unto Aharon, thou shalt have no inheritance in the land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part, I am thy inheritance among the children of Israel." And then also you'll catch this also in, I think it's better in Joshua 13:32, 13:32-33. It says, "These are the countries where Moshe did distribute for inheritance in the plains of Moab, for the other side of the Jordan, or by Jericho eastward. But unto the tribes of Levi, Moshe gave not inheritance. Yahuwah, our Elohim of Israel, was their inheritance, as he said unto them." So when I look back at this first verse in Genesis 15:1, that's when it comes to mind is, "Fear not, I am thy shield, thy exceedingly great reward." It just brings me back to what Yahuwah said unto us, that he is our reward here. And I love that. I love that because even how it is today, that is true. That is 1000% true. Let me continue. And it says, and Abraham said, matter of fact, anybody have any additions to this point I just brought out here? Any testimonies or anything real quick before I move on? Shalom, holla at
Hey,
me.
Shalom, real quick. Yeah, it's good to see you. Say the word here, same word that became flesh and dwelt among them. From in the beginning, John 1:1 was the word. Does that it all goes together, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit more too. But I
Okay.
appreciate that, Aki. I appreciate that. Yeah, we on the same page. Hallelujah, hallelujah. All right, continuing. And it says, "And Abraham said, What wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir." All right. So here we have that Abram is here, and he's asking Yahuwah, "What will you give me?" Because as you see, all I have is my servant, his servant from Damascus, Eleazar, who is Eleazar is one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters. Everybody had their favorite character in Torah, right? Everybody has their favorite character. If you have a favorite character, right? Put in the chat, who is your favorite person in Torah? Other than Yah, other than Yahusha, who is your favorite person? Who is your favorite person that you read about? Put it in the chat. Who's your favorite? That you Okay, okay. See, Kiefer wasn't listening. He put Yahusha anyway. John, Sam, yeah, Samuel, Jeremiah. It's hard for me to choose, right? It's hard for me to choose. I like, who do I like? I like Nehemiah. Nehemiah and Ezra, right? Nehemiah and Ezra are my two favorites. I think Ezra's prayer in chapter 9 and Nehemiah's devotion for how he dealt with Israel. It reminds me a little bit of Moshe as well, but as they, I can almost like experience or understand the way that they felt and going back into the land and our ancestors making the same mistakes again, and just how devoted that they were and how steadfast they were. I really enjoyed it. That's why they are my favorites. I really enjoy them. But yeah, we got Yaakov. Let's see, yeah, see, little DJ, little Nehemiah, Abram, perfect. Yeah, Jeremiah as well. Jeremiah is dope too. They're all dope. All of them are dope, man. All of them are dope. I love it. I'll throw one more. I'll throw Abner in there too. I'll throw Abner in there too. I really enjoyed hearing about Abner and hearing about what he did and what he. It sucks the way the story ends for Abner, but you know how he was like he was prideless and how he was willing to just, you know what, look, man, we already know what it is for the sake of the kingdom. Let us just squash all this and let's bring and unite the kingdom back together. I love that. I love that aspect of him. But we know Joab, that guy. Who has Joab as his favorite? That's their favorite, right? If you do, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But continuing, man, we have here it says the steward of my house, Eleazar, and verse 3 says, Abraham said, behold, to me thou hast given me no seed, lo one born in my house, in my heir, right? Continuing in 4, it says, behold, the word of Yah unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth and said, look now toward the Shamaim and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he counted it to him for righteousness. I love that. I love that. I love that. Cool. So what I gleaned from this in 15 and 15:4, what I liked about 15:4, is here what I got highlighted here. It says, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. All right. Now, this right here is important, right? One that comes from thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And what it reminds me of Yahusha, right? The only begotten son, right? It reminds me of Yahusha. And it also reminds me of Abram. But we're going to get to that as well. But it says one, because we know that man was created to be in his image and after his likeness, right? So let's take a look at Luke 1:30. Let's do Luke 1:30. I'm just bringing up some things that just, you know, as you continue to read, it's just the more you read, the more things that jump out that you didn't know that was connected or that go together. So this is just one of those things that I love, and it's just amazing. I love it when these things come to mind. It helps me show that really Abba Yah don't really do like a new thing. In order for us to understand and get it, he always do things that bring us back to remembrance. So here in Luke 1:30, it says, and the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Yahuwah our Elohim, right? And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Yahusha. I'm going to jump down to 34. It says, then said Mary unto the angel, how shall this be, seeing I know not a man? And the angel answered and said unto her, the Ruach HaKodesh shall come upon thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that Kodesh, or holy thing, which shall be born of thee, shall be called the Son of Elohim. So why do I bring this out, right? Why do I bring this out? Because when we think about someone begetting, someone's coming from his own bowels. These are literal, these are almost and for sure literal statements, but these things has happened before. This has all happened before. And I gave you out a clue already. When has this happened before? Put in the chat. If this has happened before, we've already went through it. We've already went through it in Genesis. When has this happened before? Can you all, who can put it in the chat? Who knows when has this happened before? All right, let's go. No takers, no guess. Let's do, because we all came from the dust of the earth. Let's do Genesis 2. It says that Genesis 2:7 says, "For Yahuwah, our Elohim, formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life." Now, for those that was with the study, that's been studying with us, the breath of life, breath is like what? Breath is synonymous with what? How is breath? That's right, Auntie. Breath, spirit, wind, ruach hakodesh. You see, even Abba Yehu, even the Shamayim, Shem. You see, right here, the breath here is neshama, which is funny because we have Amma answering the question for us, and here we go. The breath and the wind is neshama. What do you know? Amazing, right? So these are some things. Now, we already did a message on this. I'm pretty sure myself and Akyawel covered it as well. If you wanna dive deeper into this, check out the video that I did. Is Yahuwah versus Ahaya, right? And I break down all these different things. But I just wanted to bring this back out again, just to show like the similarities between the two. Because some people be like, the Father can't really do that. That really doesn't make sense. I'm like, how does it not make sense when He created a man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils life, gave him life? And we know that the life is in the spirit. So if He's able to build, if He's able to create a man from the dust of the earth, how is it impossible for Him to place a seed in the womb of Mary? Just wanted to throw that out there. Now, the other reason that I wanted to bring out Yahusha being the only begotten Son, right, and the Son in which He's well pleased, right, it's because there's a pathway for us to become heirs, right? Let's go to Galatians 3:26. All right, Galatians 3:26. It is here. It says, "For ye are all children of Elohim by faith in Yahushua Mashiach. For as many of you have been baptized into Yahushua Mashiach, have put on the Messiah," right? "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye all are one in Yahushua Mashiach. And if ye be of the Messiah, then are ye Abram's seed and heirs according to the promise." So we're heirs if we are in Yahushua Mashiach. Hallelujah. Isn't that amazing? Amazing. Let's get back into it. Genesis 15:6. Any comments on what I just said? Any comments, any additions? Holla at me. Let's see, 15. All right, hallelujah. All right. Maybe I'm just giving y'all stuff that y'all knew already. Cool. Now, verse 6 says, "And he believed in Yahuwah, and He counted it to him for righteousness." All right. It said He counted it for righteousness, and it's Genesis 15:6. We've seen this previously before. How is He counted as righteousness? Put it in the chat. How is this counted as righteousness? His belief, because this is very important. Belief and all of this, when you go around, people will always tell you, I believe in this, I believe in that. But how do you measure a person's belief? Does a person really believe? How do you show if whether or not a person believes, right? So is it according to works, or is it just wordplay? Is it just you just saying when somebody ever asks you what you believe, that you believe? Do you just have to say with your mouth? How does this all works? Let's see. Oh, we got obedience, keeping His commandments. Yeah, the keeping of commandments. That's right. That's right. Let's to solidify with that real quick. Let's go to Romans. Let's go to Romans. Let's talk about it real quick. Let's do Romans 4. And y'all already know this already, but let's do Romans 4, right? And we can start off at 2. Let's do 3. It says, "For what saith the scriptures," right? "Abraham believed Elohim, and it was counted unto him as for righteousness. Now to him that worketh the reward not reckoned of grace, but of debt. But to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justify the ungodly, it's his faith is counted for righteousness." Right? So I know that there's a whole debacle or confusion because when people say you doing works or doing the works of the law is showing that you don't have faith or that you don't believe. This is a prime verse here that really shows like what it really means, right? And I want you to see that there are two tiers, right? There are two locations, right? There are two places in this. Think of it like a owner of a farm, right? The owner of a farm and the heir, right? The heir of the farm, right? Or the family members of that farm. Now, the owner of that farm does everything that he needs to do for the farm to prosper, right? Let's say he has a vineyard, right? Let's say he has a vineyard. He does everything that he needs to prune. He makes sure the soil is good, sows and he reaps, right? He sows and he reaps, right? But he may need some help. And all the family that's with him partake in that and help him out. They believe, so they support because they believe in him that his works and his actions will continue to yield and be well for them, right? Now, how many of you have ever been an employee? If you've been an employee at least one time in your life and you worked for somebody one time, put a 1 in the chat. If you've been an employee or you're still an employee, if you worked for somebody or is still working for somebody, I got 2 ones. I got 2, right? Now, as an employee, what do you work for? What do you work for as an employee? The paper. You work for the paper. They work for the payment or the reward for the labor or the work that you're doing. Whatever is promised for what you're doing, that's what you're working for. You don't care if some of y'all might not care if let's say if somebody was working at Walmart, some of y'all don't care if Walmart burns today or tomorrow. Some people probably might wish that Walmart burned. That's not me. I'm just saying some people just, you know how y'all be in some of those locations, man, I wish that this place would go away. Some of y'all can't stand to go to work. I used to be like that too. But you still go for the reward. You go for the check. You go for the payment. It's the same thing for those that's working. It's just him that worketh, it's the reward not reckoned of grace, but debt. He's working for the debt. Because if you don't get your check every week or every 2 weeks as your due, you're gonna start snapping. Put a S in the chat for snap. If you're gonna it's the first chance that your check is not cleared. Put an S in the chat if you're not sending the email or you ain't calling somebody because it's your debt. That's what you're working for. That's what you're working for. And this is why this verse 4 is saying this, right? So if we continue in 5, now it says, "But to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that is justified, the ungodly, his faith counted for righteousness." Now, if you are a person, now I made the distinction between the worker and the family member because the family member believes. The family member believes in the fruits and the crops and everything that comes from it. He wants the family business to flourish and to grow. He wants it to grow. He believes. He believes. And the reason that it's counted as righteousness is because he's doing everything because he believes in the promises and the righteousness and everything that is good, believes that Walmart is great. Walmart is going to save the world. That's what they believe. They want this thing to flourish because that's theirs. It's theirs. That's what it says, inheritance or heirs. Abraham believes believes in Yah. Moshe believed in Yah and continues to deal with the people, even though it's driving him crazy. He believed in Yah. by keeping his commandments and keeping his and being righteous. As soon as Moshe did not follow the instructions that Abba instructed him to do, what did Abba say to Moshe? He called him what? He said he did not what? Put it in the chat. What did Abba say that Moshe lacked or did not do? Put it in the chat. He said that Moshe, he did not obey. He did not obey. But what did he say? He said, because you did not what? He said, because you did not believe. He said, because you did not believe. Your actions show your belief, not your wordplay, your actions. So that's why in James it says faith without works is dead. You have to act according. You have to move a certain kind of way. You have to do something in order to show your faith. You have to show that you believe by acting, by performing actions, not by talking. You see, everything that Abraham did, think about it. He said, I took you out of Ur of the Chaldean. Abba told him to leave out of the land. He went to Haran, he went back into the land. He told him to go here, he went there. He went there because Abba made a promise to him and he believed him. He believed him, and so he moved. That's why it was counted to righteousness. It wasn't and if y'all wanted to say there was no commandments, then that instruction that's given to him is a commandment. Is it not? That's why it says that he believed and it was counted to him as righteousness. I said a whole lot there. All right, hallelujah. Let's go 15:7. And I'm gonna do 15:7 and 8. We getting it. We getting somewhere, y'all. So it says, and he said unto him, I am Yahuwah that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit. And he said, Yahuwah, whereby shall I know I shall inherit it? The infamous question. I love this. Abraham asked him, where shall I know? I know I love this word. Know that I shall inherit it. But it's something else that Yahuwah did in 7. I love how he do this because he says he does this all the time. He says, I'm Yahuwah that brought thee out of Ur the Chaldees. He is confirming with Abraham. He's saying, Abraham, like that Yahuwah that spoke to you then is the same Yahuwah that spoke to you and instructed you to leave. It's the same Yahuwah that's talking to you right now. Just in case somebody else might try to come in there and try to fake like they're Yahuwah. He's letting you know, hey, that same one that you was following then, it's the same one right now. Abba drops his resume all the time. He wants you to know that it's him. I know y'all know. I did a whole message on Do You Know Y'all? That's going to be coming to YouTube soon. But for those who know, that's seen the message already, y'all know I had to hop on this a little bit. But this is a great example because I want you all to know y'all. I want you all to know y'all. I'm still I want to know even more and more, about y'all. So Abraham asked this same question here, right? Okay, you made this promise, right? He says, so what is the thing that he's promising, that he's telling Abraham, right? He says here, I am going to give thee this land to inherit it. This land. This promise, he says, I've taken you out of the land of Ur the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit. The land in which you are in now. I'm giving you this land, right? So now Abraham is asking, well, how am I supposed to know that you're going to do this thing? So Abba is making a promise, the living Elohim, right? And another living creature, as in Abram, is asking, how am I going to know this? What sign are you going to give me, or what are you going to do to show me that you have the power to do? That's really what he's asking him. Show me that you have the power to do. That's what he's asking him. What can you show me right now? What can you show me that will make me believe? Even Yahusha said, you won't believe unless you see what? You won't believe, put it in the chat, you won't believe finish this line, right? Finish this line. You won't believe unless you see what? I gave y'all a hint already. For y'all Bible scholars, put in the chat, what is it that you need to believe? Come on, I know y'all not sleeping there. What do y'all need? Put in the chat. Signs, miracles. Can I buy a vowel? There we go. There we go. Signs, miracles. That's what you need. And the thing is that he knows that. Abiyah knows that. Look, even if somebody said, you see this all the time in movies, right? You see this all the time in movies, right? Somebody wants you to go, somebody wants some dude, professional, hitman, whatever, to do a job or to do something that's risky, right? And what they'll tell you is, look, I'll pay you to do this job. What do you say I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you half now, and I'm going to give you half later. Why? So that you will be in good faith. If take me to this place, I'll give you gas money. I'll get you something, just so that you will believe, so that you'll be more encouraged, so that you will be of good faith. I pray that's blessed you. So now so 9 through 10, let's talk about these things that Abiyah instructs him to do. And he said unto him, take me an heifer and 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove and a young pigeon. And he took unto them all these and divided them in the midst of, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. All right. It's something cool about this, right? It's something cool about every verse in here. Who knows what is so special about these offerings? What also are these used for in verse 9? Who could put it in the chat? All of y'all be studying Torah. I know, ourselves, the Goshen group leaders out here, are not the only ones. What else are these? A heifer, a she-goat, a ram, turtle doves, and pigeons also used for throughout Torah? Who knows? Who knows? Put it in the chat. Who knows? What is it used for? That's what I'm talking about. There we go. There we go. Sacrifices, offerings, burnt offerings, and sin offerings. Yes, but definitely these are clean animals that are used. You can catch this through Leviticus chapter 1 through 9. You can see, throughout all of Torah, but you can see the types of sacrifices or offerings that these are used in. So here again, we are in a situation that Abram is here, and he's bringing these clean animals and dividing them here. All right. Now, verse 11 is pretty cool. It says, and when the fowls came, right? Fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. When I've read this, the last time I read this, but when I read this, right? This part is very important because Abiyah did not instruct him to do this. Abiyah did not tell him to shoot him away. These pieces, these things that Abram cut up was important to him. Not only did now these are instructions, right? These are instructions that Abiyah gave Abram. These are commandments. Not only did he keep the commandments, not only did he keep the commandments, but he guarded them. He didn't just cut them and left them. These commandments, these instructions, these pieces, these rams of the heifer and the goat and the turtle dove and the pigeons are important to him, so he guarded them. Let's take a look at Genesis 2. Let's do Genesis 2 and 5. Genesis 2 and 5. 15. I was tripping. I said, this is not it. So it says, and Yah took the man to put him to the garden, to dress it and to keep it, right? Keep it, shamar, guard, right? To guard, to keep. There's another instance. There's another instance of fowls coming. There's another instance of fowls coming to mess up something. And it has to do in the gospel. Does anybody know where that is? where that is, what is it that the foul mess up again that can be linked to this? Put it in the chat. What is it that the foul could be messing up again? If we know. I know. Now I'm gonna take you there. Let's go. Let's do Matthew. Let's do Matthew 13. Let's look at the sower of the seed. Let's look at the sower of the seed. Let's do Matthew 13. My apologies. So we have here the parable of the sower of the seed. And it says, and Yahushua spake by the seaside, and he said, and he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow, and when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the fowls came to devour them up. The fowls come again. The fowls come again to devour them up. Let's get a better understanding of what the fowls represent. Let's do Matthew 13:18 says, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower of the seed. It says, when anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understand it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth him away that which was sown in his heart, that he which receiveth the seed by the wayside. See, the fowls are a representation of the wicked ones, especially for those people who are new or maybe seeking, that has maybe Torah on their heart or the desire or the need of Yah in their heart, but the wicked ones. Because the people don't understand it not enough, the wicked one come and catch it away, which was sown in his heart. So us, right? What does this mean? Why would I bring this up? What is the importance of this? At this time with Abram, you see, we have to guard the commandments. We have to keep them. We have to protect them. Shamar. We have to protect and guard Abiyah's instructions, his commandments, because there are going to be people that's going to twist them. There are going to be people that's not fixing to be as diligent as Abiyah wants them to be. There are going to be people that's going to want Abba Yahuwah to be the way that they want him to be. And it makes them feel better when you follow them as he wished for them to follow him. And they're going to do what these fowls are trying to do. They're going to devour it up, because the word for devour, if it says the wicked one, right? It says the wicked one, but who is the king of the wicked one? The wicked ones, right? It's the serpent that's cursed. And on thy belly shalt thou go, and thou shalt eat dust, right? Eat, a call to eat, devour, also in Hebrew represent destruction, to destroy, to destroy. So there are ones that are of the wicked ones that's seeking to destroy you by messing up the covenant, by messing up the law, by messing up the instructions. So that's what came out to me when I looked at this, or as I'm reading this. I'm like, Dad, these fowls are coming to mess up this covenant, or the preparation of this covenant, this promise. Let's see. So 15 are there. All right. So any comments from 8 through 11? Any comments or additions for everything that was discussed? Aki, what you got? What you got? What you got?
I just wanted to bounce off of what Netanyahu's been teaching last Shabbat there in verse 8 and 7 about the land that he promised Abraham. He's been showing how it's such the deception that Hasatan knows the scripts, so he knew this was coming up. He knew when Yah promised this to Abraham, so he started his own plan, as Netanyahu showed, and the deception of the people that are over there now. Everyone thinks they're Israel. Yep. Because they read this and they go, "Oh, that's the land, and those people over there," and so on and so forth. But anyway, I just wanted to just throw that out there. Remind me of the lesson going from Shabbat.
I appreciate that, Aki. I appreciate that. Let's continue. And yeah, he drove them away. So now, let's see, divided he not. So he divided them perfect, good. So now, let's do 12 on, right? It says, and when the sun was going down and the deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land. And he unto Abram, Know for surety that the seed shall be a stranger in the land, not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. The iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Let's talk about a couple things, right? Let's talk about this portion where it says that they, in this 14 says that they shall come out in great substance. Have we seen this before? When have we seen this? Put it in the chat. If you recall when we've seen this before, put it in the chat. Put in the chat where this happened already. That's right. Miss Ryan. Here's another notable one, right? Jacob and Laban. Jacob was serving Laban for those many years for Rebecca, but it ended up being Leah, then Rebecca, and then for an inheritance. But Laban was making him go through it. But Abiyah blessed Jacob, and he left out with great substance. So that's just another little tidbit there. Let's see this verse 16, right? This verse 16, for the iniquities of the Amorites is not yet full. The iniquity of the Amorites. What does this mean? What did this mean? Who are the Amorites, right? Who are the Amorites? This portion right here, Abba Yahuwah blessed me mightily with this, and I really enjoy what he showed me as far as with this. But it says, but in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So that means that when it comes to the iniquity, that means that there is something that must be fulfilled, something that must be made full. That means it's something that must come to pass. I like this idea of not yet full as like the analogy is like a cup that's being filled up, right? I'm a technician, so I deal with sensors and all kinds of readings and measurement tools and stuff like that to be able to determine if something is working properly or not. We do a lot of readings and measurements and stuff like that, right? So we know that once it's at this point, it's cool, it's good. But once it passes this little line on this threshold, then it's going to cause for us to react. It's going to cause for us to, because it shouldn't be here. It should be at this point, which is normal. It'll be in a state that is abnormal. Then we're going to have to take a look at that. We're going to have to make some adjustments. We're going to have to fix it, more than likely, right? So when we're here and it says, for the iniquities of the Amorites is not yet full, that means that Abba is waiting for something to build up. Now, when it comes to the iniquities of the Amorites, what exactly was the Amorites doing? Let's do Deuteronomy 9:4. It says, speak not thou in thine heart, right? Because we're talking about this inheritance. So we're talking about this inheritance, and we're talking about us inheriting the land. A lot of people, Israel or whoever, to think that when we go to inherit the land, it's going to be because we're great, we're doing this, we the people, we're kings, we're queens, we're special. We're going to think it's because we're righteous, because we're black, or because whatever, right? We're going to think in our hearts that it's because of these things, but Abiyah gets this correct very early, right? Let's start from 3. Let's start from verse 3. It says, understand therefore this day that Yahuwah thy Elohim is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as Yahuwah hath said unto thee. It says, speak not thou in thine heart, speak not thine in thy heart after that Yahuwah thy Elohim hath cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness Yahuwah hath brought me and to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahuwah doth drive them out before thee. Not for thy righteousness, or for the unrighteousness of thy heart, doest thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations, Yahuwah thy Elohim goeth to drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which Yahuwah sware unto thee, unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he says that it's not for your righteousness, but it's for two things: to keep the promise that he made with our ancestors. The second thing, the wickedness of the nations. The wickedness of the nations. So now I ask the question again. What was the Amorites doing, right? What was the Amorites doing? Before I go there, does anybody remember the promise or the covenant that Yahuwah made with Noah? Two things, right? Why did he send the flood in the first place? Put in the chat, why did he send the flood? Why did he send the flood in the first place? Help me out. Who knows? Destroy the wicked. What were they doing? What were they doing? What were they doing in order for them to be destroyed? They were wicked, destruction, war. They were killing each other, shedding innocent blood constantly, right? The first one, Cain, his line, 2 wives, and he said, and one of his descendants, like, man, I'm gonna do worse than what he did. And then their line continued to be even worse, to the point that Abba Yah said, I'm done. For their wickedness, I'm going to send the flood. Now, afterwards, in this Genesis 9, he makes a covenant with them, right? But he's letting them know, yet again, the same thing that he did with Abram, Eve, or Chua, and the serpent. He let Abram know what he was going to do if he disobeyed. And then when that did happen, when they did disobey, he corrected them and told them as plain as possible how they're supposed to move going forward. Eve, you shall cleave to thy husband. You see what I'm saying? You shall have pain through childbirth, so that, this will be a sign, so it will bring you back to remembrance, so that you do not do this again. All right? And here we have the same instance. Genesis 9:5 says, and surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of every man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. Because we was created to do what? Be fruitful. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. Now, Pak, why would you bring this up? Because the world had commandments. Oh no, mind blown. Abba gave the world commandments. He gave the world commandments, y'all. The world. He put the blow in the sky, but he gave them commandments. The sons of Noah, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, they was given instructions too. So, judgment is coming. He said it's for their wickedness. How can they be wicked? Disobedience, right? Rebelliousness. How were they rebelling? What are they rebelling against? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look. Let's do Deuteronomy. Let's do Deuteronomy 12. Let's do Deuteronomy 12:29. It says, when Yahuwah thy Elohim shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwell in their land, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. For after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their deities, saying, how did these nations serve their deities, their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Don't do that. Thou shalt not do so unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, for every abomination to Yah which he hateth have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. What thing soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto nor diminish. So, the Canaanites, because the Amorites of the line of Cain, they're in the land of Canaan, right? These people in their practices was doing abominable works. They was doing abominable works because they were burning. For even their sons and their daughters, they have burnt to the fire to their gods. Abiyah commanded us all, Shem, Ham, Japheth, to be fruitful and multiply. How are you going to be able to be fruitful and multiply and you're burning your children? You're burning your children. Let's take a look at Jeremiah 19:4. It says, thus saith Yahuwah, I'll just start from the verse above. It says, and say, hear ye the word of Yahuwah, O kings of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth his ears shall tingle, before they have forsaken me, and have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, which neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah have filled this place with blood of innocence. They have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire, and burnt offerings unto Baal, which I command not, nor spake, neither came it to my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come that Yahuwah, saith Yahuwah, that this place shall no more be called Topheth, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. The valley of slaughter. Mishpachah, these Amorites or these Canaanites were slaughtering and offering their children as sacrifices. That's what they was doing in the land. That's how the people round about them was worshiping their gods in the land. And that's why Abiyah had to just stop them. Just think about that. I just want to go over a little bit of history, just a tiny bit of history of some of the findings and some of the places of what was going on. Let's take a look at this. It says, according to the Bible centers, the worship of the Canaanite gods, such as Molech and Baals, were set up in Yehuda, Israel, by the apostate king. Child sacrifice was even practiced in the valley of Hinnom, which we just read about, just outside of Jerusalem. Yet religious reformers such as King Josiah pulled down these places and rendered them unfit for use. He also made unfit for the worship Topheth, which is in the valley of the sons of Hinnom, so that no one could make his son or his daughter pass through the fire of Molech, which you'll see in 2 Kings 23:10. So it is no surprise that these sites which Josiah sought to erase have not been positively identified. Other Canaanite places of worship in Israel that have been identified have not yet yielded evidence of child sacrifice. Yet, absence of evidence is not absence of evidence. There is good reason to believe that the Bible did not exaggerate Canaanite barbarianism, right? So let's jump down. It says, although the Canaanite civilization was largely driven out of the land of Israel, and it immigrated elsewhere, founding colonies along the Mediterranean coast, North Africa, where it thrived for centuries. Most notable among these was the colony of Carthage in modern-day Tunisia. That city-states became so powerful, it at one time rivaled Roman public. Carthaginians spoke the Canaanite language and, importantly, practiced Canaanite religions. They also seem to have brought with them their cruel predilection, my apologies, for the child sacrifice. Written in the 4th century BCE, the Greek historian Cleitotaurus said, said of the Carthaginians' practice, there stands in their midst bronze statues of Kronos, its hands extended over a bronze brazier, flames of which engulf the child. When the flames fall upon the body of the limbs contract, and the open mouth seems almost to be laughing until the contracted body slips quietly into the braziers. Thus, it is the grin is known as a sardonic laughter, since they die laughing. Kronos was a regional name for Baal Hammon, the chief of the Carthage deities or gods. Another Greek historian's name, Diodorus Siculus, written less than 100 years after the fall of Carthage, affirms his countrymen's account. There was in their city a bronze image of Cronus extended in its hands, palms upon the sloppy towards the ground, so that each of the children, when placed thereon, rolled down and fell into a sort of gaping pit filled with fire. All right. So here's the statue and whatnot here. I want to jump down a little bit. And here it says, and so 1921, French archaeologists excavated some of the ancient Carthage. One site appeared to be an ancient graveyard. The site had hundreds of grave markers underneath. Each one was a clay urn containing cremated remains of human infants and animals. Sometimes as many as 7 urns were found, one on top of another, under a single marker. The soil was rich with olive wood, charcoal, indicating fire had been kept burning here for a long periods of time. Here are the pictures of the urns. This is the archaeologists dubbed this place as Topheth, which is the Hebrew word for the place of child sacrifice near Jerusalem. So it says, in times many more Topheth cemeteries were discovered. The large contained the remains of approximately 20,000 infants in urns, as well as small as some animals. All right. Yeah, this is what you can see. This is what the urns and stuff look like. All right. All right. So I just wanted to share that. I know that is some wild stuff, but just so that you can get an idea, just so you can get an idea of how terrible the acts of the Canaanites and whatnot was, how terrible child sacrifice is, and how and why Abiyah's judgment. Because people always want to ask the God of the Bible always, do y'all believe in genocide? If y'all believe in genocide, if y'all believe in the God in the Bible, y'all believe in genocide. Yeah, my God brought the flood. He did. He told us to drive these people out, told our ancestors to drive these people out. He did, for a good reason at that. But you want people to keep sacrificing thousands upon thousands of children. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's the same thing that's going on in America today. Abortion is ridiculous right now. Abortion is ridiculous. The whole world has been commanded again to be fruitful and multiply. We got to instruct our people and all people that we got to turn from our wicked ways by showing them that these things are wicked. These things are not right. And if you claim to be Yah, God fearing or whatever, then these are things that you should not be doing. These are practices that you should not be participating in. All right. All right. So let's get back into 15. Are there any comments, additions, or statements? I know we've run out of time, so I'm about to try to close this up. Any comments before I move on? All right. And it said, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces, the pieces that he cut. In that same day, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt or Mizraim unto the great river of the Euphrates, the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cambonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. All of them are descendants of the Canaanites. Just to relay that point. But so this covenant is this covenant, this promise is made. Now, this is for the land. This is the promise that has to do specifically for the land, as it was mentioned. So that's why he marks out. Not only, this is the way I love the way that Yah does this. Not only does it say the name of the land, but he says the inhabitants that dwell in that land. So I was talking to somebody about this a little bit earlier, and if you was to say MLK, right? In America, there's an MLK almost everywhere. And you can say, yeah, I live off of MLK. It's a well-known street in Washington, D.C. And you can say, do you know so-and-so lives in MLK? They're like, I live off of MLK too, or so. But it doesn't mean that y'all live in the same place. There's an MLK in Texas, probably. There's an MLK in Virginia, Seattle, maybe Vegas too. I think I ran into one in Florida too. But the point that I wanted to make here is that it's not just MLK, but it's the MLK in the state and the inhabitants. Abba Yah used the inhabitants of the land so that people will know that it's that land, not just the name, because some people will try to tell you that America is the land, that certain parts of Africa is the land. This is why it is very key to put who were the inhabitants of that land, so that if you check the history of these people, you would see where they dwelled. Easy peasy. One other last key notable thing, it says, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and burning lamp passed between these pieces. Now look, imagine you being Abram, right? Imagine you being Abram at this time, and you woke up to see this. If there was ever, put a 7 in the chat if that would be more than enough of a sign for you. Put a 7 in the chat if you asked of a sign and you witnessed this and you saw this happen. Put a 7 in the chat if this would be sign enough for you. Because I know for me, I can't even imagine seeing what Abram saw. Another notable thing is like when the Philistines was coming down to attack Israel, and Samuel had to prepare the sacrifice, and then you heard lightning crack, and then the fire come down and engulf the sacrifice. Like, imagine seeing, like, we seen some crazy lightning, right? But imagine seeing fire come down to an altar to just engulf the whole thing. Crazy. Whew. Man, such a blessing, such a blessing. But yeah, Mishpachah, that is my time. Before I close it up, that is my time. Matter of fact, yeah, that is my time. I pray this blessed you. I pray that this blessed you. I pray that, this added to you all. Mishpachah, like everything, man. This journey, this chapter has been amazing. Take whatever you've learned and share with other people, especially the works of the Amorites. Talk to these young folk so that they'll know. They may not teach them in the right ways. Teach them and show them when people live by the sword, they die by the sword. Teach them and encourage them so they can move properly. I pray that all of this has blessed you. I pray that this was insightful and encouraging. I'll close this out in prayer and I'll hand it over to Kiefer. Hallelujah. Total Rabbah Abba Yahuwah for blessing us yet again, one another, y'all. Abba, thank you for everything. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for continuing to be with us and making your abode with us. Thank you for continuing to increase us and continuing to change us and shape our hearts so that we can no longer have an appetite for evil or wickedness. Thank you for being patient with us and long-suffering with us as we struggle and wrestle to get right, as we go through these growing pains, Abba. Thank you for continuing to be with us and continue to show us the right way, being patient with us, Abba. There's some of us that are sick, Abba, I pray that you bless them. Kiefer's family, I know there's been some surgeries and some mishaps going on. Bless the Ak and his family. Bless our elders that are here. Now, bless them. Bless especially some of our elders that are retired. They might not know what to do with their life. Bless them. I will bless them with something. Bless them with peace that they rightfully deserve. Bless all your people with good health and peace and shalom. Bless all those that are shepherds and teachers and prayers and prayer warriors and whatnot. Bless all of us. Bless all those who are out here doing the service, doing a reasonable service out here. There are some of us that are going through some funerals and whatnot. Bless them as well. Bless Daisy, Miyahu, Yoel, and all of their family that's on that side that's preparing for the funeral. May you lift up their families, lift up their hearts, and bless me, Abba, because sometimes it just be people be tripping. I pray all these things in Yahushua Mashiach's name. We say,
Hallelujah.
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 oh, that's right. My bad, Mr. Picard. I'll get this straight. Continue to be encouraged. If you enjoyed everything today, join us again next week on the 6-day study, 7:30 Eastern. We have the Shabbat study tomorrow. Come through and kick it with us for Shabbat, which will be 12 noon Eastern time. Kick it with us. If you enjoyed this, you're going to love it tomorrow. Continue. Cope. Mishpachah Sukkot. These slots are filling in. They're filling in. I'm so happy to see all the names and everybody that's joining. Join us for Sukkot this year. If you're looking to fellowship with us for Sukkot, get your payments in, register, get it in. You can register check out the Goshen Group website. And thank you to all those who are donating via Zelle using Goshen Group email. Thank you for everybody that's been donating and helping us. We don't take a salary. And everything that we try to do, or everything that you give to us, helps us to continue to be of great service and continue to do the work of the kingdom. All right. I return all of you all's time back to you. I say Layla Tov and Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Layla Tov.
Layla Tov. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Layla Tov. Ahava. Shalom.
One of the ways that the Most High has blessed me this year is by bringing like-minded individuals into my life that I can pray, read, and fast with. I'm super grateful for all of them. Shout out to FOTW.